Welcome to Dead to Cinema. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Steven Maltmanex.
Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching the latest releases. However, sadly, put a big dent in your wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we miss, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
Hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the others' opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts, $1 at a time.
You can't stop what you can't see.
This guy came from the outside. He was a pro. He was fast.
In the art of the kill, Leon was the master.
Somebody's coming up. Somebody's serious.
He never missed a hit. He never got caught.
You're indestructible. Bullets slide off you. You played with them.
And above all else, he never had a reason to care. Until now.
I like these calm little moments before the storm.
My family was shot down by DEA officers.
3 kids here. One of them is missing. Find her.
Please open the door. Please.
The last week, it was the movie that came before this one. This time it's this one, going from his first big French film to his first original American film.
And the big one is Jean Reno's first starring role, the one that really catapulted him to stardom internationally. You know, he was big enough, but this was like...
Now he's a movie star.
This was the lead role. Yeah, he's the poster boy.
Turned him into, Taken style when you're fucking Jean-Luc Picard. Not Jean-Luc Picard, fucking Qui-Gon Jinn.
Liam Neeson.
I never call him Liam Neeson. I don't know why. It's a thing. I don't see him as that name.
Well, it's funny. The Taken was that thing where, Liam Neeson was the badass for years. It was, here's the guy that trained Obi-Wan. Here's the guy that trained Batman. Here's the guy that...
Oscar Schindler.
Here's Aslan the Lion. And then all of a sudden it was like he had his own movie and people were like, wait, Liam Neeson kicks ass.
And once again,
why have we never talked about this?
It's Luc Besson. He brings it out of people, which is awesome, and he definitely brings it out of here. But... Yeah. You'd seen this. I know you'd seen the extended, so you watched the original. I try to find the original so it'd be on the same foot, and I couldn't find it. And so I ended up watching the extended because I rented it legally.
Yeah, no, that is the original, the 133-minute version. I don't know, it's weird. I guess here it's called the longer version, but it's the international cut, and it got cut here in the U.S. There's no official statement, I guess. It's called the longer version, and that's the one that's easier to find, because you got the one that just said Leon, right?
Yeah. Well, no,
yeah, so that's
not really.
That's,
actually, it says Leon the Professional, which is just like La Femme Nikita, where was it Nikita or is it La Femme Nikita? Is it Leon or is it Leon the Professional?
Mine said Nikita when I saw La Femme Nikita.
Well, I mean, the film... Oh, wait, you're talking about the actual title sequence says both?
Yeah, the title itself. It just says Leon,
Yeah, it just said
right?
Leon, yeah.
Okay, then we're on the same page.
Speaking of, the opening shot here is very reminiscent, just in terms of, let's have this sweeping, almost like cityscape, except here it's an actual city, not cobblestones, and the way...
And it's actually water this time.
It's
not misleading
it's
at
true
all.
water, not rocks, but just the way it climbs and climbs and climbs, like, oh wow, that's fucking Central Park, and now we're flying over it, like literal bird's eye view. This movie's weird in like a real interesting, tender way, because it's so beloved, both contemporarily, like if you look at 1994, which is arguably one of the best years in filmmaking ever, and people still cling to this film in particular. It's hard for me to imagine why, because it is so taboo.
It's really offbeat.
Yeah.
Like La Femme Nikita, it's a genre flick, but there's just so many things here where I'm just like, how can an American audience embrace this? Because there's so much offbeat humor that's like, I'm just kind of surprised that they love it, but... Yeah, God bless them. They totally went for it.
Well, it has a lot going for it. I think that's kind of all of Besson's work, just the fact that it is heartfelt. It's deeply comedic and also romantic. There's great action beats and set pieces. That the music, the design.
That opening, though, just the action. There's really only 2 major action sequences. It's not exactly an action movie, but...
The final one and the opening one.
Yeah, that opening one's so good. So good. How he's just
You literally don't know his name. You don't know anything about him. You just see him.
he's literally a ghost.
You don't even see him. You just see his hand pointed at some guy's face with a gun attached to it. Like that's it. You just know like this is a man with no name. This is not the guy that you want to be in his like he's Deadshot. You know, like, you don't want to be.
It's pretty much it's the first time that you see Batman go into action in Batman and Begins. You know, when he's at that loading dock and he's just taking out all those guys. It's exactly like that.
I told you both during Nikita and also off air that I'm pretty sure I've seen this before. And I'm still confident I had, but it was so long ago. Like, it was maybe like 1996, like 1997. Like, I was so young that I just didn't remember it because certain sequences, in particular, like that plant, Leon's plant, I just was very the piggy sing, okay? And maybe I'd seen them on the internet or I'd seen them in passing. Maybe they were like on one of those like AFI like best of things on Bravo. I'm not sure, but I'd seen lots of parts, and especially just seeing this 11-year-old Natalie Portman, this debut role, which is still probably one of her better ones.
This movie doesn't work unless it's her and unless she is 11 years old. Like, there's this great story that the casting director told about his process of just finding the girl that played Matilda. And he was sending tapes to Luc Besson, who was in Paris at the time. He was sending tapes of like these 15, like 16, 17
like
year old girls.
Almost.
Yeah.
It's like too old.
And
Luc
Besson, he just responds back furious, and he's like, no. You send me the girls that know sex. I want the girl who thinks she knows sex, but does not know sex. That is just such a French way of saying it. It's awesome. But I mean, he's right. Like, they have to be that young. And like there's really like a naive innocence to it, which is like, yeah, it's borderline creepy.
Oh yeah, very creepy.
But then you juxtapose that with Leon, who is basically a child himself.
He's very slow.
Like, and like that is a line like throughout the movie is like, yeah, he admits he's getting older, but he still needs to grow up. He's just kind of locked himself in emotionally and just stuck to being skilled at this one thing, but just still has this sense of like just childlike awe and wonder at the world when he goes to the fucking cinema. Like. He's looking at the background like, hey, is anybody else into this too?
Yeah,
no, I guess not. But yeah,
that
but he's just really
probably
into
now either got converted into an adult cinema or it's no longer standing. But the way, and it's not common. I mean, I haven't seen all of his films, but it's fairly uncommon for Besson to like reference cinema, especially American cinema. The way that, because they do something also in Valerian with like film on film. But here in particular, like actually going to see this Gene Kelly movie, was it American in Paris? What was that? I'm not sure what it was.
It wasn't Singing in the Rain. I know that.
They couldn't afford that.
Yeah, there was that Debbie Reynolds disguise reference in there, and I guess that he got it right that it was a Gene Kelly movie and a Gene Kelly song. But yeah, I don't know how that got mixed up or why they didn't just use that. It was
probably for rights. It was probably
who am I to question
super expensive. But then also like them playing charades or impersonations or whatever you want to call it.
That's the thing, though. I mean, doesn't the song also cost money to use?
It's a lot less.
Not in the public domain.
It's a lot less when you sing it yourself, when you don't have the actual needle drop. In the same way, like if you got like a cover version, it wouldn't be so bad. And so when you get Natalie Portman to say like maybe a couple of measures, it's not so bad. But like doing the John Wayne, which was awesome, doing the Marilyn Monroe, like it works, and the Madonna for that matter.
Yeah, those first two are creepy, and then it gets less and less creepy as it
becomes
goes.
a game. But like that's the movie too. Like if Leon was a typical man, if he wasn't mild-mannered, if he wasn't like, oh, look at me, like I have one thing in my life and that's killing people. Like he doesn't even use the money that he gets. Like it was reminiscent of Baby Driver almost, where it's like, I can't actually cash these checks for some reason, except here it's because he doesn't care. Like he's so steadfast in his desire to be the
living
best.
Because he's got nothing else to do.
But yeah, if he was any other man in the world, he would have fucked 11-year-old Natalie Portman, like definitely, and it would have been a complete.
You think
yes,
so?
It would have been a completely different. Movie.
No,
Yes.
I mean. I don't want to think about that.
That's the point of the movie. She wants nothing but him, not as a father figure, but as a man in her life.
Yeah, but see, it's like you look at those lines later on, like in context, in particular at the end, which could totally come off as like, a lover's ending, like some along the lines of Bonnie and Clyde. But
which they reference
I
also.
mean,
Thelma and Louise.
rereading those lines, I'm convinced he's approaching it like a father, and she's just a girl that doesn't know anything, and she's approaching it in a way that she thinks she wants it to be.
He is definitely looking at it as a partnership. He's someone who's always worked alone, and now he has someone to train. He has an apprentice. Like, matter of fact,
I don't think it's sexual.
It is 100% sexual. Like,
for him,
not for him,
I don't think
but
so.
it is a Lolita story. Like, the actual Nabokov is, there's this girl who wants, and what's his fucking name? It's Humphrey. That, he's not interested, but he gets interested because she forces the issue. Like, if he had survived that final moment here, I'm sure that they would have met up. And I was almost actually robbed. Like, they should have had some kind of kiss, maybe even just on the forehead when he dropped her down that chute.
I see it differently. I sort of see it as like, well, I don't know, it sounds weird to put it, but it's almost like a Frankenstein and the little girl moment, even though Frankenstein is the one that kills the little girl, but like, or maybe something like BFG, like that's how I see that he's seeing it. But yeah, of course she totally isn't, like but he's refusing her advances, so
like, just look at the scenes.
But it's that's how I want to see it at the same time, because I want to justify this movie not being fucked up.
You look at stuff like them sharing the bed together, what she tells the hotel attendant, like, oh yeah, he's my lover, her literal zero interest in guys her age, like when she pays them to sit on their stoop. So many things, like, it's almost creepy, and then when you couple that with the way she dresses, like, it's not too uncommon, especially in New York
right away
films.
though.
Like, look at Taxi Driver. I think Jodie Foster was 13 in that role, and she's literally
but Jodie Foster was a hooker.
She's literally playing a hooker, so like 1 year older than this character. And then it would also, like, I don't know, I agree, it's she doesn't know what she wants, and she probably actually wouldn't want it. But when she's talking about Cosmo magazine and her first time and how painful it's going to be, and, oh, it's different because we're in love type of shit.
Yeah, but see, like, that's it goes back to that casting line where it's like she assumes that she knows how it's going to be. Like she's idealizing it in a certain way, does not know at all what the reality of it is like at all. Like, it just assumes, like, oh, here's a guy and I like him. That means I want to fuck him. That's just not how it works at the end. Like, that's not how you... the relationships just don't stay that way. But I gotta say, though, like, something that I really, really love about her performance, though, like, aside from her being kind of funny and very... It's sometimes uncomfortable watching her, but, like, yeah, it goes back for me, like, to that one scene when she's at the door, like... Some of the best fucking child acting
ever
probably I've ever seen, where, yeah, like, she passes by her apartment, overhears that her family sees her father shot on the ground, hears that they killed her little brother, and she just goes straight to Leon's door. Like, this is someone that she does not even know is an assassin
met in passing.
Yeah, just, like, is nice. Like, she knows she can buy him milk, right? Like, she knows what he likes. They're friendly to each other, and is just freaking begging for help for him to open the door, and she's just crying there on the spot, has no idea that this is a guy that can protect her, and is just, like, it's... really fucking, like, just that shot too, having her dead center in the frame is so disorienting. It's an effect of that, and like just fucking wow. Like, yeah, that scene, like, for me, that's really just that solidifies her as just like, that's a perfect performance that's going to carry on like throughout the movie, just in that moment. And then, like, because you have so much sympathy for what's going on there, it kind of makes it easy to cling to her, even though she's doing lots of really fucked up shit later.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you came to this conclusion too, but I assumed, especially since she found the money, or like didn't find the money, but she knew exactly where the money were in the floorboards. She cut the drugs, right? Like, she is the reason the inciting incident takes place. Like, she's the one who is responsible for the death of her family.
I don't think so, actually, because the father did say, I think I fucked up this time. So I think he knew what he was doing. I just don't think he expected to get shot. Like, none of them really did. Just Gary Oldman took some fucking drugs and was like, hey, you like Beethoven? Let me play you some. And then just fucking goes on a killing spree. Later on, they're criticizing him that he shouldn't have fucking done that, shoot the whole family.
This is 2 years before True Romance, right? Or is it a year after?
A year after, I think.
Yeah. So... to see him go from that role to this role, and then following this up with The Fifth Element, and then eventually, he's Commissioner Gordon,
Air Force One,
Air Force One, Sid and Nancy. Like, his range, especially as a psychopath, has been so good, so spot on. Like, it almost pains me when Gary Oldman takes like the boring old man role, like something like in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, like when he's actually the reserved like do-gooder,
Or literally Winston Churchill.
Yeah, like no, I want him to be crazy. Like I can almost imagine
He's
him.
the best at it. Yeah.
Imagine if he was cast as the Joker instead of Heath Ledger. You know.
Well, speaking of, I'm sure he could have done a great job, especially years before. But Heath Ledger was perfect. No, but like Gary Oldman is a villain. You saw Kung Fu Panda 2, right?
No, I've only seen the first one.
Oh, okay. Now you know what? The second one is worth it alone because he plays the villain.
Nice.
He fucking goes all crazy, Gary Oldman, and the design of the villain, his character just he plays a peacock, but fucking looks menacing. And he just fucking owns it, and it is perfect.
You'll have to look into that. Like, I wasn't
even in a kid's
fan,
movie, he still got it.
He still has it
Just
now. This is one of those films, just like Nikita, where it doesn't demand a sequel, but you know you want one. And
maybe for you, man.
No, not even just for me, for Luc Besson and for everyone involved. Like Natalie Portman, they wrote a script. There is a script. It would probably have already been made if it weren't for the fact that this is a Gaumont
Leon
pick.
fucking...
And
I'm sorry, but do I have to spoil this?
Okay, he dies.
Leon fucking dies.
It's not about
at
him.
The end.
It's about Matilda. It's about her coming of age journey, meeting this man in her life that changes inexplicably. That's why the final scene of the film is her getting accepted in her boarding school. She's no longer a liar. And she plants his plant. She calls it Leon. But they wrote a script. Like, it's somewhere collecting dust, and the only reason it has been put in production is because this is made by Gaumont, and Besson severed ties with them when he made Europa Corps. And it's probably never going to happen unless they somehow go bankrupt and they need money. And they're like, yeah, you can make it with STX and put some Chinese people in it and make it an international success. Because, I like the shared universe, or at least not like the comic book way, but like the actual shared universe. Like, imagine if there was a Kevin Smith type View Askew thing for Besson, and it's all the same, like Valerian and The Fifth Element and Nikita and this are all the same world, because
just Valerian has to introduce time travel, and then you got it.
Well, it's like, I think Valerian and The Fifth Element are the same world. Not the same world, but the same universe. I really do. Just like if you take that future and you push it ahead 200 years, like the Alpha Station, like I think that's a real thing. But like I talked about during Nikita, like, okay, clearly this Leon character is not the same character, without a doubt, not the same character. But they use the same lingo. Like, he's a cleaner. At one point they call themselves cleaners here, like just the way they go about things, like the rules of the trade.
Well, here's the weird thing too. Leon is Italian, which I
so
just don't buy.
Weird. No,
I don't buy that. I guess for the neighborhood that they are in, like Little Italy.
Well, not even just the neighborhood. I think it was also because they got Danny Aiello, and they were like, well, if he's Italian, then it would make sense that he would have to be like the broker for an Italian hitman.
Oh, maybe America was dumb at the time. It was just like foreigner, Italian. I'll go with it.
Like, just the name alone, like Jean Reno, like, how is that?
It's so fucking French. It's like,
at least, like, if they threw in some Italian outside of, like, that opening sequence, which is just shot so well, and then, that's par for the course, like any of Besson's films, especially his early stuff. Like, we're talking about Nikita, we're talking about the crew there, like, look at Derek Pendergast, look at how it's scored, like Eric Serra's sounds. It's the same people here. It's, it's only, like, 4 years later, and it's all of the same principal people, some of the same actors, same kind of world, except this is, it deals with the government too, and also assassinations. Like, it really is the same kind of caliber. It's almost surprising that you go from this, like, nitty, almost like hard-boiled casework, and then jump to sci-fi. Like, how you and then when you find out that, like, he always wanted to do sci-fi and he pretty much only did this because he couldn't get the cash, like, that's just not a possibility.
Like, he did this as an in-between thing, like, just to prep for Fifth Element. But I mean, even it's like, even a sci-fi, or maybe it's just a Luc Besson trait in general, but there's always just this offbeat humor, which I'm just fascinated that it translates here and people dig it. But hey, I mean, like, God bless America if they can get into it.
His whole shtick is that life isn't serious, even in the worst of moments. I think that's what he really tries to unload on audiences.
I think that's just a storytelling thing. Just in that way, it does resonate. Because I mean, even like an action movie, like every single story that's got like or a drama, there always has to be humor in there. Like even if you're not thinking at the end of the day that a Bond film is funny. There's still plenty of laughs in Skyfall. You know,
all
I
of
was
them.
there, just one-on-ones with Javier Bardem and Bond tied up in a chair.
Getting
Like, yeah,
hit
there
in the
are
balls
laughs.
by a rope. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a joke in there. The world's gonna not think that you died
the left.
scratching my
To the
balls.
left.
Yeah, like it's just it's a simple. I think it's just a storytelling thing where you always got to inject a little bit of humor, not for the not
But
to
when
not,
you have the biggest shootout in the film and the DEA, by the way, like how the fuck did one guy who's covering up like this big event get like all of the New York Police Department to go, like whatever, who cares? Loopholes non-excluded.
you get that line. Does it matter?
Send
You get
everyone.
The line. Everyone.
But when you have that huge shootout and the place is getting torn to fucking shreds, and his first thought is, okay, let me throw this axe to see if they know where I am, and then I'm gonna protect my plant. I need my plant. Like he has a couple, like, to make an interesting character, you need just like things that almost seem like a joke, but they're serious about. And his is his milk consumption, like two cartons a day, and his plant. He has to take care of his plant. You know, like you can throw in also like sleeping in the chair with one eye open, like, but those are like typical, like almost like Western cowboy stuff. Like it would make sense why he loves John Wayne, or at least like that's the impression that he went for. He's like, you don't know this guy? Are you serious? Like, how'd you miss the John Wayne?
You just couldn't get the impression right.
I think he did actually, like because it was
really
it was more of an inaudible impression. Like he didn't have to say the name.
The dialogue, yeah, like he said the right thing, but I was like, I mean, just the gestures he was making and just looked like a doe-eyed, like it looked like Forrest Gump doing John Wayne. I'll just say.
Well, he kind of is like Forrest Gump, really, like same
pretty much,
here.
yeah, just except a super badass. Well, actually, kind of the same
Forrest
because
Gump's
Forrest
a
Gump
badass.
can also put together a gun real fast.
Well, he got like the Medal of Honor and like the Purple Heart and so many fucking things. Like Forrest Gump is one of those movies that
Imagine if this movie was starring Tom Hanks instead, and he did the narration of how
as
awesome
Forrest
that
Gump,
would be.
like Forrest Gump
As
2,
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gumper.
Yes, yes.
They did make
not necessarily a
to that.
sequel, just do like a midquel or something.
They actually made
like,
a sequel. It was called Gump and Son. Like, it wasn't turned into a movie. And in the novel, Forrest Gump meets Tom Hanks. And like the play on the events that unfold is that Tom Hanks played Forrest Gump in the movie based on his life. And I saw this at a Goodwill like a long time ago, and I went, "What the fuck is this? Like, that's a book? That's a real book?"
All right, I
That's
guess
kind
that's
of cool.
cool.
No, I knew I was gonna. This is like one of those essential Debt to Cinema picks where I knew I was gonna watch it eventually, and I was waiting for the right time. And your
Even
pick,
though you kind of did.
yeah. Even if I had, I'm still not sure, and I'm happy that I rewatch it regardless. And if we've both seen it, it doesn't matter. Maybe our audience hasn't. They need to hear the conversation, so they check it out too. Like it is the right timing for that when a filmmaker of this caliber, like a true auteur, puts a film out. And you kind of have to just marvel at the fact that just this movie's fucking hip as shit. Like, you were talking about Nikita being like, oh, isn't this like a 90s film? Like, nah, really, it kind of seems 80s to me. This is a 90s film. Like, just...
Well, we're in the mid-90s
1994 is like, anything that came out that year is a 90s film, including Babe. It's like, Babe was Oscar nominated for Best Picture.
Yep.
But the fucking sunglasses, the reflective shots off of those. Natalie Portman's outfit, she has so many of them. They're always cool. The beanie, like the trench coat, like just the way the guns look. Like so much of this. I was actually reading that almost all of the interior shots here were done in Paris. Like all of the flats, that is not New York. New York is only...
Well, no, evidently the first apartment, Matilda's first apartment where the family got shot, evidently that's a real New York
Okay,
flat.
maybe that one, but where the majority of the
But yeah, they were in
scenes-
Paris. They were shooting interiors there, so... It's an interesting mix, because, yeah, I mean, it's that thing again where I don't know if it's just a combination of Luc Besson and Eric Serra, but... I'm seeing New York, but I'm feeling Paris the way that Besson shoots it.
Well, because it also is
it's
Paris,
just an
though,
interesting
and we
way.
know
Even that first opening shot though of New York, it's like, why does this feel like Paris to me?
I don't know.
Central Park, same deal. It's like that's not
for all you for all you know. Like if you superimpose the Eiffel Tower right there, like it would be Nikita. I want to know how the world react. Like you can read about it, but to see something like this in theaters And you don't really know the filmmaker because Nikita might have been an international release, but it's still in French, and the TV show wasn't out at the time of this release. And
there were video stores at the time.
Oh, for sure.
Who knows?
But this made a lot of money. It made enough money that The Fifth Element happened. Like, still one of the most expensive French productions of all time. To even think about that film being made, like 2-3 years after this is pretty insane. That he got enough clout off of really one film. You can say the two before this, like the Into the Blue or whatever, and Nikita, but it's really this one. And we also mentioned, or you mentioned it, like there's not really action in this film. There's the opening sequence, there's the closing sequence, whereas The Fifth Element's like nonstop action. It stars fucking Bruce
Especially
Willis.
Valerian.
Yeah, and definitely Valerian. And then Taken and Taxi, and any of his films that come post Leon. Like, Nikita hinted that he might be some kind of like savant when it came
just
to
big action director, yeah.
But
even though there weren't major scenes, but yeah, I mean, when it comes down to this, though, it is really it's the characters too. It's that dynamic which works. It's really what I think also works for Nikita. It's more obvious here where Besson's taking two things that just don't mix well, a hitman and a little girl, and presents a circumstance that forces them to be together. Same deal with Nikita. Junkie and sleeper agent.
Yeah.
Those should not work. And he manages to make them work, and it becomes compelling to see how it comes together.
Taking it a step further, having this cute little romance, and then having her be an assassin on the side, and then here, having this like almost like Lolita-esque like father-daughter relationship, this training ground, and which is also a love story, and yet what they're doing together is killing people. Like that shouldn't happen, but like. I think the reason why he's always been such a hit is that he brings, like you said, like true characters to screen. It's not just about the action, because when it comes down to it, it isn't. Like, that's not the reason why people go to the movies. Like, you do want to see explosions, but you have to care about the people. You have to care about the stakes. And
same with any story.
In any of his films that I've seen, you always do. Like, there's a sense of belonging. Like, you really do associate and feel at home with these people, and for that it's definitely, it's $1. Like, you gotta buy this one. It's a silver dollar, but I'd buy that for $1. Like, it's one of those films that for some reason works, and it works in a way that it set the tone not just for action filmmaking ever after, but also kind of the 90s, like what sensibilities are true now. Like the weird fucked up worldview that we have in media is established with this, and with Forrest Gump and Pulp Fiction, and God knows how many other 94 films that we don't know about.
There's a shitload. This wasn't one of the best picture ones either, but dude, this is a buy. Like, as a offbeat, iconic comedy / action
flick.
I don't know.
Coming of age / romance / New York postcard.
It's that genre pick that
elevates
I literally
beyond
just said
genre.
Plays with things that you're not used to seeing mixed together, and but you know what? It's a buy for one main reason. Gary fucking Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
And that's all I need.
It really
that's
is.
it.
Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can listen to more by checking out the Dollar Reviews show, where we cover theatrical and streaming releases, as well as give our 2 cents on anything we sought out on our own, whether that be TV, music, etc.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter, or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
And we're also on Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, just about anywhere on the internet, with hours of content available to you for free. But for those of you that feel that the show is worth your dollar, you can send us a donation at patreon.com/dollarreviews. Contributions not only earn our undying love, but they also make it possible for us to improve our recording equipment and to give you the highest quality episodes possible. But more importantly, they'd be helping us acquire the content to review. Trips to the multiplex are expensive, and the more donations we receive, the more films we can review for your listening pleasure.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Death to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and now you know how to spell the email too, and also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films that I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.